Good evening, everyone. You're here with Tyanna Miller for the early evening show. The segment is The Journey. Today I'm here with Tyrone Miller, who I will be interviewing. So my first question for you, Tyrone, how did you get into TV?
Oh, man, that's a good question. So, I started rapping when I was young, right? Actually, I didn't start rapping when I was young. I always was somebody that was in front of the camera and just doing wild stuff. So I was doing wild YouTube type stuff before YouTube was out. I'll go on the streets and be like, me and my boy Luke, shout out to Luke, I laid on the ground and then Luke would act like I fell off my bike and we'd stop traffic and everybody be running over, getting out their car, and then we'd just jump up, gotcha! And then, so I was doing that type of stuff when I was like 12, 13. And then, I don't know, I just did it. I was just always wild. So then when I was always wild, people bring cameras out, they always taking pictures and getting videos of me. And then that I didn't really have a bug. That's just who I was at the time. And then as I got older, Luke started rapping, which is my best friend. Two shout outs to Luke, that's what's up. But when Luke started rapping, he was like, T, you should rap. And I started rapping. And then when I started rapping, that kind of led me in front of the camera. And then once I was in front of the camera, I started to really like it. So then once I started really liking it, I got a job. I went on a reality show, got a job at Atlantic Records. I won the reality show that I went on. And when I won the show, I got a job at Atlantic Records. The show came on, and a lot of people started making me the person that was on TV. And then once I was on TV, that one time, I was at the label, I was high energy, and they put me in a Little Kim video, and it been on ever since. Then I was just like, I like doing it. I enjoyed it. I liked the attention that it brought, and I felt like it could be a ends to a mean, so I stayed with it.
All right. So it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You true to this, not new to this.
Yeah, I'm definitely true to this, not new to this, man. I've been around for a while. My first time on national TV was 2002. It is 2024. So 22 years, been on TV over 50 times, and, having my own platform now through CNJN is beautiful, and, just growth.
Sheesh. All right.
Yeah.
So you say you've been doing it since 2002.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know you have 2 kids. So how did your journey end up changing as you had kids? How did they play into you pursuing what you wanted to do?
Oh, that's a good one. So when I was rapping, I didn't have no kids. So I worked weekends. I would work this security job overnights on the weekends, which was Saturday and Sunday. And then all week I would go to New York, try to pass. This is when, matter of fact, for you music industry people, this is when demos was out. So I would take my tape demos to New York and just pass them out. I would walk to the labels. I'd be up there all day passing stuff out. If I'm mad I didn't have a stepper then, where I could count my steps, I might have had 20, 30, 40,000 steps. So I would go all around, do that. And then my now wife, shout out to my wife, beautiful, love you. And when I was doing that, I was together with her that whole time. And then we got pregnant. And then when we got pregnant, my priorities changed a little bit. So I was like, I still was pursuing it, but I was on a make it at all costs. I was like, I gotta get here, I gotta make it, I got a family, I gotta make sure I make enough money to support my family. And that was always number one, but at the same time, I felt like music and entertainment would be the thing that would get me to where I needed to get to. So when they was young, I think when I went on that reality show in 2004, my son was 1, my daughter was not even here yet. I got a tattoo of her name in Cincinnati that my wife still says she was mad at because we didn't agree on her name being Tyanna, but since I got the tattoo, her name had to be Tyanna. Yeah, you see what happened. But so whatever. So I was out there, and as I was pursuing it, I was on that show in 2004. I got the job. So it was a 6-episode reality show on Spike TV. Came out. I was on it. I got the job. So I was working in New York. And then as I'm working in New York, something crazy, it wasn't crazy. It might sound crazy now, but I talked to my wife about it. And she said, while I was working there, I worked there for 2 years. And she said, it feels like I'm a single parent. And that hit me in the gut. I was like, oh. And at the time, I was highly offended. I was hurt. I just didn't like her saying that. And 6 months after that, I got laid off. So once I got laid off, I said, all right, well, I got to start my life out here. I can't really work in the music industry like that because I'm not here for my family. I would literally leave 7 in the morning, get back on good nights at 7 at night. So I was there because, you know, it take an hour and some change to get from where I live to New York. So it was a long day. Even if it was a short day at work, it was a long day of travel. So it always was 12-hour days that I would leave home and get back. And she was like a single mom. Like, I couldn't take him to school, couldn't pick him up from school, couldn't make dinner, couldn't really do anything. So she was doing it on her own. So I said I had to change things up. So once I changed things up, that's kind of when I went into like acting. Like, and that's when I kind of fell back from rapping and went into acting. Because when I worked at the label, I realized most high earning artists are out touring or doing like commitments 200, let's say 230 out of the 365 a year. And I'm like, I can't be a good parent and raise my kids and give them morals and, you know, all the things that they need and be going that much. So I said, I got to do something different. That's when I kind of stepped into acting, and that I got laid off 2006. And I think right after I got laid off, I did a gig for VH1. It was this show called Motor Mouth, where you sit in the car and you go and you like sing songs off the radio, and they followed you around. And it was supposed to be hidden camera, but I knew because at the time I had a couple of connects. And once I did that, I had already did the reality show. Then that's like a couple months after that, I got a cooking show that I went on called Make My Dinner, where I couldn't really cook that well, and I went on and a couple of chefs showed me how to make certain dishes, and I went home and made it for my wife now, which at the time was my girlfriend. And I said, well, I could probably do this because it's like one time. It's not like a full-time thing. I don't have to be gone all the time, and I can still pursue something that I want. So long answer to your question, but having my wife tell me she felt like a single parent when she wasn't kind of steered my career to go more towards in front of the camera and away from music.
Wow. So
was that wow for a long question?
No, long it was wow because it was a good answer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was in depth.
Thank you.
You talked about you talked a lot about your wife and your family.
Mm-hmm.
Are they what mainly keeps you going? And if not, what are some other things that keep you going as an entertainer?
Now, in life, they would keep me going. Like, you know what I mean? In life, my family, my wife, my children, nothing more important to me. Like, I almost get emotional talking about it. Nothing more important to me. But in entertainment, I don't think they're not really what keep me going. I feel like this is, like, doing entertainment is something I feel like I was born to do. It's something I should have been doing my whole life. And I feel like it's me. It's just me naturally being myself. And it's like a calling, rather. Like, you know how if you a pastor, people say you're called to the pastorhood or whatever that is.
Right.
I feel like entertainment is something I'm called to do. Like, now I'm gonna always do it, even if I'm not. So that's what really keeps me going. Like the belief inside of myself that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And my family helps keep that strong. Because, you know, I feel like me chasing after my dreams and doing the things I want to do in my life inspire them to do the same thing with their life, regardless of what it is. Like, it don't have to be entertainment, it don't have to be sports, like whatever it is. If you want to be the best dentist, go ahead and do it, but give your all. And, you know, if that's what you called to do, go ahead and do it. So my family does keep me going in that, but that's just generally speaking for anybody. Like, I think seeing somebody go for something when it's not easy, that's inspiring. I'm always inspired by that. So I hope, you know, my in-depths, my journey through this helps inspire somebody else, a young person, old person, whatever. Like, anybody out there watching, if you believe in your heart that this is what you're supposed to be doing, go ahead and do it, regardless of what anybody tell you. And ideally get good people around you that help you get to that point, where you can step out and really continue to do what you want to do.
Okay. So I know that you're very family oriented, and I also know that entertainment is a hard path to go down for somebody that, you know, wants to be around their family, got to be away a lot. How has you being an entertainer brought you closer to your family?
That's a good question. I think me being an entertainer, I feel like it's brought me closer just because they see the passion, my family, my wife, my kids, my mother, they see me going in a direction that I should be going in, but at the same time, they support it. And they see that anytime I'm doing something else, it's a sacrifice for me. Like, just being a family person and being an entertainer, like say you're an actor and you got to go to auditions, there's a sacrifice that comes with that if you're not going to be around your family all the time. But if so in my case, I chose to say I want to do it on my terms so I could be here for my family, and my family seen that. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I gave up a lot. I feel like I made the right choice. But for somebody that's not pursuing it, you may look at it like, oh man, if you wasn't focused on your family so much, you probably could have been here. And I'm like, for me, that was never an option. I always was more focused on making sure my family was good, and not just in a financial place, in a mental place, like just knowing that if they need me, I'm there first. But when I'm have free time, that entertainment's gonna be right there. So I feel like them seeing the sacrifice I made for the betterment of my family, that definitely brought us closer. And like I said earlier, the inspiration, like seeing me go for something that's not an easy thing, like you said, to continue to work at it for such a long time. I feel like that inspires them, and when they're inspired, they start doing things that inspire me. Like, my son, my daughter, my wife, they've all done things that inspire me, that keep me focused on what I want to do. But it's like a reflection. It's not really me as much as it is us. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Another question I have for you is, what's one thing you want everyone in the world to know about you as an entertainer?
I mean, me as an entertainer, you ain't gonna get nobody like me. I'm dead confident in, given the right space and opportunity, I'm the guy that you need, depending on what it is, depending on the project. So to answer your question, there's no other me. And I have full confidence in that. And that's not just through me being an entertainer, that's through personal growth. Like, I've grown to this place. Now, I've been to therapy, I meditate, I do all different types of things that will help me stay locked in on number one, which is me. Because everybody has to be in tune with their North Star. And for me, my North Star has always been family entertainment, but you're not gonna get nobody that's lived the same life as me, the same experiences as me, and that's as resilient as me. And I mean, you may find somebody that's just as resilient, but my life experiences was gonna separate me from everybody else. You know what I mean? And my life experiences is vast. Like, I lived in the hood, moved to the suburbs. That's a whole nother, that's an experience. I experienced like 1960s type racism when I was a kid, and my parents moved me out the hood, thought it was a great thing, and I experienced all types of stuff. That experience is gonna make me unique to any space I'm in. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then me, like, I coached. My son played sports. I coached him, and then I got a job coaching. And when I got the job coaching, I coached at a predominantly rich people private school. That experience alone, and then still being myself, is gonna give a different, you're not gonna find too many people that's gonna have that same experience. And if they did have that same experience, they're not gonna have it through the lens that I have it. So there's nobody that can be me. So if somebody out there, they wanna cast me in something, and they're like, I like that guy, I'm your guy. But I might not be your guy. You understand what I'm saying? So, but I know I represent myself 100% authentically in every room I walk in, and that's what you're gonna get. So what I want everybody to know is there ain't no other me. I'm not trying to be nobody, I'm myself. And when you believe in me, you're gonna get 120%. So that's the answer to your question.
All right, so you was in the suburbs, you was in the hood, you was teaching at predominantly rich people schools. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, at least that I know, would shrivel up in times like that and, like, let me just stick to myself, figure out what the vibe is, and kind of conform themselves to be more to the other people's standards.
Right.
How do you remain so 100% in any space that you're in?
Good question. I think the thing that I do, and I'm not even going, like, I try not to, my daughter once told me I was toxic positivity, but it was a good thing. I took it in stride. And when she said that, I kind of had to analyze, like, all right, how exactly does that fit for me? Because I wasn't offended. It shocked me. I was like, oh, I never thought of myself like that. So now when I go into spaces, I am 100% okay with me being myself, and I've strengthened the muscle of being uncomfortable in situations. So, you know, like I said, I lived in the hood, super comfortable there. And then when I moved, it was a whole different environment around all different types of people, and I still was myself, but I'm not gonna say I got backlash for it, but I wasn't treated in the best way. But then I realized when I go, every place you go, when you don't go in your authentic self, it's gonna hurt you more if you're not accepted. I've learned that when you're your authentic self, people don't like you, they're not your people. Like, you're gonna have people that's not your people, and it's okay. But I feel like growth is the thing that, personal growth for me, helped me walk into any room and just be myself 100% authentically. And reading a lot, I'm a complex dude. You know what I mean? I'm not like simple. I'm like, yo, there's a part of me that when I go somewhere, I can fit in with dudes that sell drugs because I've been around dudes that sell drugs. I could fit in with scholars because I've read a lot. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's different things different experiences that I've had in my life that I can draw from that anybody can relate to. And that's kind of how I go in. I look at people as people through all the experiences, positive, negative, bad, good. At the end of the day, people are still just people. 50% of people are, I was about to cuss, 50% of people are messed up, 50% of people are good. Depends on them, but if I go in myself, I don't have to worry about what they're gonna do. I'm just worried about how I'm gonna present it, myself, and how I can adapt to the situation. So adaptability has been big in my life, and that's how I could go into any space because I draw from every experience I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Sheesh. That was a good answer.
Nah, thank you, man. You flattering me with all my good answers, man. You gotta love that.
All right, that's all I have for you today. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the rest of the world?
Nah, man. Just go out there, be yourself, like we talked about today. Walk in a room, be authentically yourself, and good things will happen. And if good things don't happen, good things will happen at some point. So continue to grind, keep going, believe in yourself, find your North Star, find the thing that drives you, that pushes you to be the best possible person you could be. For me, it's always been my family, it's always been entertainment, and it's always been personal growth. I want to be better than I was yesterday. And every day, you're not going to be better than you was yesterday, but I can always try to be that. So that's all I got, really.
All right. That was Tyanna Miller, your host, signing out. Catch you next week on the early evening show, The Journey.
Yeah.
Woot woot.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Thanks.